There's a firefly in your yard right now that isn't looking for a mate. There's one that hasn't seen daylight in 2 years. And there's one that is doing something no other animal is known to do, flashing with no one to see it and no reason left to flash. 5 things are happening in your backyard tonight. You've been watching them for years, and you don't know what any of them actually are. Those fireflies aren't just flickering. They're running a system so precise that researchers spent decades trying to reverse engineer it. Before this video ends, you'll learn why your yard belongs to the females, not the males. Why there's a firefly in your garden right now that murders other fireflies, not for food, but for a chemical it needs to protect its eggs. And why the last thing a firefly does before it dies is the thing most people remember forever, but for all the wrong reasons. What you're seeing tonight isn't random. It never was. The last thing a firefly does before it dies is the part of this story that most people never hear. And once you know it, you can't watch them the same way again. Number 1. The light is a language, and you're hearing only half of it. On a warm June evening, you watch a male Phytinus pyralis rise from the grass and arc upward, that distinctive J-shaped sweep, releasing one long pulse of light at the top of the climb. It feels like a display, something for your benefit. It isn't. He's sending a signal to a female who is almost certainly invisible to you, resting in the grass or on a low stem, watching. She times her response to within a fraction of a second. 2 seconds after his last flash, she answers. One pulse. Precisely placed. He turns toward her. He doesn't know where she is. He only knows the timing was right. Field studies across multiple Phytinus species have shown that females recognize their own species by flash interval alone, timing windows measured in milliseconds, specific to each species and no other. The female isn't choosing randomly. She's running a filter so precise that the wrong interval by even half a second gets no answer at all. Your yard is full of conversations happening at a speed you can't track. You're watching the males. The females are the ones running the system. Number 2. Most of what you're seeing isn't even about mating. There's a firefly in your lawn right now that lit up for a reason that has nothing to do with finding a partner. Fireflies flash when they're disturbed. They flash when they're handled. They flash when they fall. And some species, particularly those in the genus Photurus, use a copied flash pattern to lure fireflies of other species close enough to eat them. The female Photurus, sometimes called the femme fatale firefly, learns to mimic the response flash of a smaller species. A Phytinus male, reading what looks like an interested female, approaches. He doesn't make it back. Biologist James Lloyd at the University of Florida documented this predatory mimicry across more than a dozen Phyturi species in the 1970s and spent the next 3 decades mapping its reach. What he found was that individual females are capable of mimicking the response flash of more than one prey species, switching between signals, adjusting timing, responding to whatever male happens to be passing. There is a firefly in your backyard running multiple deceptions simultaneously. It has a repertoire. She isn't killing for food. Photurus can't produce the defensive chemicals that Phytinus carries in his blood, chemicals that make him unpalatable to spiders and birds. She needs them to protect her eggs, so she takes them from him. The murder is a transaction, and the light that lured him in, the light that looked exactly like interest, was the instrument. Number 3. The larvae live underground for years before you ever see them. The firefly you watch tonight spent most of its life beneath your lawn. Depending on the species, firefly larvae live in the soil for 1 to 3 years, sometimes longer. They're predators down there, hunting earthworms, snails, and soft-bodied insects through a network of tunnels they dig themselves. They inject digestive enzymes into prey before consuming it. The soil under a healthy firefly yard is layered with this invisible activity season after season. What researchers tracking firefly abundance across multiple years have found is this. Soil moisture and temperature in the 20 months before emergence determine how many adults appear. Wet conditions, when the larvae are underground, mean more fireflies in the air, which means the fireflies you're seeing this summer are partly the product of the rain you got 2 years ago. Your yard remembers. It was building toward this before you knew to look. But that memory can be broken. Number 4. They can go dark entirely and come back. There are years when the fireflies don't come, or almost don't. Populations fluctuate dramatically based on soil moisture, ground temperature, and the presence of pesticide residue. A yard treated with broad-spectrum insecticides, even once, years before, can suppress larval populations long enough that emergence drops to near zero for an entire season. The adults simply aren't there yet. They're still underground. But given time, and given the right conditions, they return. The Xerces Society, which tracks firefly populations and threats across North America, identifies pesticide use as one of the primary drivers of decline, second only to habitat loss. The larvae in treated soil are the most vulnerable. Recovery depends on giving them time and undisturbed ground. The memory of the population is stored in the soil. Your yard hasn't lost them if you stopped seeing them. It may still be counting. Number 5. The flash isn't light. It's chemistry that should not work. What you're seeing when a firefly lights up is a chemical reaction that produces almost no heat. Almost none. Incandescent bulbs convert roughly 90% of their energy into heat and only 10% into light. A firefly converts close to 40% of its energy directly into visible light, with almost none lost as heat. That ratio is 4 times better than the best incandescent bulb ever made. Biochemists call this cold light, and for decades they couldn't fully explain how it worked at room temperature with the efficiency it demonstrated. The mechanism involves an enzyme called luciferase, which combines with a compound called luciferin, oxygen, and a molecule called ATP, and the resulting reaction emits light in a wavelength that is almost perfectly centered in the range of maximum human visual sensitivity. As if it were designed to be seen by us, it wasn't. But your eyes are tuned to catch it anyway. Biochemists studying bioluminescence found the luciferase reaction so efficient and so controllable that it became a standard tool in genetic research, used today to tag genes and trace cellular processes in laboratories around the world. The firefly in your yard tonight is running biochemistry that researchers borrowed to understand cancer. Number 6. What happens at the end? A firefly lives as an adult for roughly 3 weeks, sometimes less. In those weeks, it doesn't eat. It doesn't sleep the way we understand sleep. It flies, it signals, it finds a mate if it can, and it lays eggs in the soil of yards exactly like yours. Then it stops. But in those final hours, something happens that entomologists who study firefly behavior have noted and largely set aside, logged, not explained. Dying fireflies flash, not the courtship pattern, not the predatory mimicry. Something else entirely. Slow, irregular pulses with no species signature, no timing logic, no apparent receiver. Researchers who have observed this behavior cross-referenced it against every known flash pattern in the species. Nothing matched. The intervals aren't courtship. They aren't distress. The conclusion, when it finally came, is one of the stranger things biology has produced. The flashing in the final stage serves no communicative function at all. It is not a signal. The firefly is not calling to anyone. What it is, instead, is the last output of a system that no longer has a purpose. Light produced because producing light is the only thing the system knows how to do. The chemistry fires. The light comes. Because that is what happens when luciferase meets luciferin and there is still oxygen in the cells. There is a firefly in your yard right now that will do this. Tonight, or next week, or at the end of this summer, it will pulse slowly in the grass with no audience and no purpose and no answer coming. And if you happen to be standing there,